Hello all, good morning. This is Pushami. Shall we start with the session? I think it's already 10:40. Uh, Please let me know if you are able to see my screen and you are able to hear me properly. Okay, so let's start with today's session. So today we are going to go through an absence management overview. In Fusion HCM. Actually, there's a lot of change in the functionality, look and feel, and everything when compared to EBIS and Fusion. So I'll take you through the a brief overview, the navigation, and the prerequisite steps for today. And then tomorrow we'll go into detail about how to create the accrual plan, absence types, and all that stuff. Okay, so to start with, now the absence management has become more elaborate, more user friendly, and there's a lot of functionality included in Fusion absence management. Okay, so with the new setup we can have a lot of features. There is a lot of change in the look and feel, and at the absence type level itself we can configure a lot of features. And when compared to the payment, when it comes to the payment or deduction of the absences, there's a lot of new functionality which is included. So we will go through all those features and new functionality and the navigation in detail. Like when we compare the absence management in Fusion with EBIS, the base functionality will still remain the same, like the absence type. And but here in Fusion, the absence type is not directly related to the element. We have something called as the absence plan, as in general or the broader view. And the absence plan is again divided into three different types, which will be accrual and qualification and no entitlement plans. Okay, we can go into the detail at the later point in time. Now I would like to take you through the basic functionalities in Fusion HCM. Like with absence management, you can manage worker absences and corresponding entitlements. You can create absence types based on predefined absence patterns and associate them with the absence plan. Actually here in EBIS, if we see like associating an absence, we associate the element directly to the absence type. But here associating an absence type to the absence, to the element is not mandatory here. If there is like, if you just want to capture the absence information only, then there is no need to create any payroll element related to it. If you think that the absence information is not being transferred to payroll, then there is no need to do any setup, just the absence type will do. Only if you think that the absence information needs to be transferred to payroll and something needs to be done with the payments, then we have to create the absence plans and the corresponding element. Okay, so and if you see within the absence plan, there is a lot of flexibility given. Like we have absence plan is an overall setup which we do, like wherein we have accruals, entitlements, and no entitlement and qualification plan. Okay, so you can associate the absence element with an absence plan to transfer the following information for payroll processing, like payments for annual or long service leave and payments for absent duration like maternity, long-term sickness, and many other leave. And we can even calculate the absence liability amounts. Okay, so now we will go into detail regarding the what are the prerequisites which are required before we go into the absence types and absence plan setup. Okay, so the first thing is which makes a lot of sense even before setting up the absence types or absence plans, or any setup related to the absences, like the work schedules and the worker availability. It is very important that we decide on this factor even before proceeding with the setup of the absences. Like this plays a major role in the absence type duration calculation. if we see in eBiz, like we used to do all the calculation and logic within one formula like BG absence duration. Now here Oracle has provided us the feature to to get the worker availability automatically based on the unit of measure which we select for the absence type. So it is very important to associate the correct work schedule, and we define the calendar events in the system properly so that the duration of the absence will get calculated automatically. Okay, so the work schedules and worker availability is very important. So first, the system will check for a work schedule. Okay, if the employee or the legal entity, if we can associate the work schedule at different levels. It can be at the assignment employee level, or at the job level, or the position level, or the topmost is the legal entity. The least one, which will take priority, is the work schedule which is associated at the assignment level. So first the system will check if there is any work schedule associated to the employee or to any of the corresponding levels. If it finds, then it will check is there any exception of the calendar events, like we have holidays defined in our system specific to a country, specific to a location. System will check if there is any exception, then it will consider that. Okay, so and if that exception is there, then based on that it will arrive at the employee availability. If none of these, like the work schedules or nothing is given, then it will take the standard hours which is defined either at the legal entity level, or which will come from the assignment screen. Okay, so is the thing clear till here, or am I going very fast? Regarding the work schedules, then we can go into the system for the navigation and all. I'll show you that in details. Okay, can we proceed further? Okay, so we will go into the system first, and I'll show you like the creation of the work schedules, and how to create a shift, work pattern and work schedule, and where do we assign it. This is the first step which we do even before doing anything related to the absence, and then we can go to the absence navigation. Okay, first we will go to the instance for creation of the shift, work pattern and all that stuff. And it is very important, there is one more thing, like there are 3 different types of shifts. Okay, let me just take you to that screen and I'll explain you the thing there only. In setup and maintenance, okay, so work shift. Here we have manage work shifts. Actually, why I'm telling this is important is because depending upon the type of the shift and type of the work schedule we create and associate an employee, the absence screen will, the absence type, the screen where you go and apply the leave will completely vary. Like if we create, so if we see there are 3 different types of shifts. There is like time shift, duration shift and elapsed shift. Time shift is like we define our work hours are from so and so, like 9 to 5, and the number of and that means we define the time. So when we create a time shift and we create the corresponding work pattern and work schedule and associate either at the employee or at the legal entity level, when you go into your absence type screen or absence application screen, there the apps in the absence type we can see the start time and end time for each and every absence. If you don't want to see that, if you don't want to see the absence start time and end time, you just want to enter the absence start date and end date simply for your absence type, then you create the shift as elapsed shift, wherein you just mention the number of hours you work for a day. Okay, so the main, if you are allowing a partial day leave for any employee, say you can say half day leave or just say for an hour, taking permission and going, then you can create the time shift. Or if you don't want any, if it is limited, you have to take only for a day or 2 days, it's a full day, and you don't want to see start time and end time in the absence screen, then you just simply go and create the elapsed shift, wherein only the hours will come and you don't have any option to change the number of hours over there. Okay, so this is already, we have a shift. Okay, I'll try to create one more shift, create time shift. Okay, you can give any shift wherein you just give the start time, like your day starts from 9. Your day starts from 9 a.m. and number of hours you work, which it will calculate the end time. Okay, shift detail, it is flexible. You can give anything. This is not much this thing. Okay, so actually there is no need to create all this. If you want to give everything in detail, then you go and create these details. Otherwise if you want, otherwise you just give this much details and you can just save and close it. Okay, so if you see like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. this is the general time shift which we create. Okay, the first step is to create the shift. Okay, once your shift is done, then we need to create a pattern, like what will be the start day, what will be the end day, and what is the length of the week, like whether it is 5-day working or 7-day working or 6-day working. For that we need to create as workday pattern. Okay, so it is manage workday work pattern. Okay, so here we have time workday pattern, wherein we associate our shift here. Say you can say the length of days, like length of the shift in days, whether it is 7 days or 5 days or whatever. You can give it according to the requirement. So here we have given a general rule, like the length, it is 7 days, and out of which 5 days are working, wherein start days 1 and end days 5. Okay, and we associate the shift we have created here. And these are the details which we give in workday patterns. Okay, so it's like the length of days of the shift is 7 days, out of which only 5 days of working, and it will take other 2 days as off days. Okay, so once the first step is to create the shift, and next step is to create the workday pattern. Okay, so once the pattern is done, then we have to create a schedule, like how that pattern will repeat. Okay, so here if there are like multiple shifts, the employee is associated with morning shift, evening shift, afternoon shift, then we can create a schedule accordingly. We have to define those many shifts, those many patterns, and associate it to the work schedule. Okay, so manage work schedules is the third step which we need to do. Okay, so here we associate our pattern, and what is important is here is the effective date from when the schedule is starting. If we see 30th December 1990 is a Sunday, that means the starting day is Sunday. Okay, so the working days are from Sunday to Thursday, Friday and Saturday will be off days. That is how it is for UAE. So if you want the work schedule to start from Monday, then you need to associate this from a Monday. Okay, so that it will take one as the first day as the Monday, and rest all it will continue. So this date from when it is actually starting is very important. So if we associate it on a Sunday, then it will take the first day as a Sunday and it will continue from there. If we want the work day to start from a Monday, then we need to associate it as 31st December 1990, which will be a Monday. Okay, so this is the work schedule. Okay, if there are different patterns, then you can add one more pattern here and define the timing here. Okay, so this is about work schedule. Okay, there is one more point here in the work schedule wherein we have something called as exceptions. Okay, so we define the calendar events like the public holidays, like New Year's Day, Eid, or any other public holiday which we define in our system. If we want those to be excluded from the worker availability, then we need to give it as an exception. Either we can give the calendar event category, which will be public holiday, or a specific calendar event, like only you want to consider only specific public holidays, not all the public holidays. Then you can specifically mention those. Here if you can see, we have three options: calendar event category, and resource exception. Calendar event will specify only a particular holiday which you want to exclude from the work schedule. Okay, if you want to exclude all the events like of a specific category, whether it is a public holiday, then you will give it as calendar event category. If you want to exclude any resource like any specific employee uh, from this particular work schedule, we can exclude it. Like say suppose a specific employee is having specific work schedule other than this, and rest all employees this pattern will apply, then we can exclude the resource itself. Okay. So once we define shifts, work patterns, work schedules, the fourth major step which completes the setup of work schedule assignment is the work schedule, managed work schedule assignment administration. Unless and until this is done, the work schedule will not come into the effect. Okay, this is the place where we actually go and assign the work schedule. We can either assign it at the, as mentioned, legal entity level, or assignment level, or job level, or proposition, or grade. There are various levels. We can see that. So UAE work schedule. If you can see, this is associated at the legal entity level and it is made primary. That means this will override everything. If you want to associate this particular work schedule to, if you see, there are various options here like assignment, department, employment terms, enterprise, job, location. Okay, so if you want to associate it at the particular assignment level, then we can go and associate here. And we need to make that as primary for that employee. Whichever is primary will be taken into consideration. Okay. So this is about the work schedules and the work schedule assignment. Okay, is it clear so far?
Pushami, Vasant here.
Yeah, hi Vasant. Please tell me. Yeah.
Hi. Can you just go to that UAE work schedule once again?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Here we have options to add here resource assignment. Okay.
Correct, correct.
For
Yeah.
example, your resource type is legal employer, and
Uh-huh.
I've given that is already assigned transfer solutions.
Correct.
Start date, end date, and this is the
There
primary.
is primary. Correct. Yeah.
For an example, if I add one more
Mm-hmm.
and assigned as department level,
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain on this example, like
Okay,
how it
so
works?
department, what you need to do is if you select, okay, if you can add one more row, okay, and then select the resource type as department, okay. So only for that department, there
Okay.
is a separate, what is it, separate work schedule. They fall under different patterns. See, just for the timing, I'm just selecting this.
Okay.
Okay, so then what will happen? You need
Okay.
to make that as primary. Okay, and this is no. So what will happen is only for this department, from this date to this date, this particular pattern will override. Okay, and for rest all from this, say on a particular
What
date
if for
only,
the employees?
sorry, all the employees who fall under this department will have this particular work schedule. They fall under this work schedule. Okay,
That is correct.
see,
But
see,
what
okay,
happened to the other employees?
they will see, it will always check the hierarchy. Only for this department it will take this particular thing as primary, and for rest all they fall under this particular section under the legal employer. See, the entire year you are working on a normal schedule. Only say on Eid days, okay, this particular
Okay.
department will work only for particular department only for these days. They will have a different schedule. Okay, so then what you
Okay.
do is you end date it here. This particular department, you will end date it here and make it as primary and associate that department with the other work schedule. So what will happen is it will check here. You are excluding those departments from here. Okay, it will come into picture when only certain set of employees are falling into different work schedule on certain set of days. Okay, so only on Eid days
So you
during this.
mean
Yeah, yeah.
the particular administrator have to do this on a particular day,
Correct, correct. See, these dates are
or is a
important.
one-time?
Start date and end
Okay.
date it's not a one-time thing. If the shifts keeps on
Okay.
changing for particular
Yeah.
employer, for particular department, then it is not a one-time task. You need to keep changing. Like usually it happens to during these Eid days, Ramadan days, the work timings will reduce. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll say
So what
only,
we can do is we can
yeah,
have a number of resource
work schedule.
assignments here.
Correct.
Only thing is we need to change the primary on a particular
Exactly,
date
exactly.
or
Yes,
okay.
correct,
But
correct.
thank you, Krishna.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah. So, so what I'll just show you the effect of this setup in your absence screen. Okay, so that we can relate it directly when we actually create everything and then go and enter the absences for employee. For the timing, I'll just show you now that we have defined the time shift like start time and end time. I'll show you how the absence screen will look for you. Later on what we can do is we can create an elapsed shift and see how the absence screen will look for us. Okay, so depending upon the work schedule which is associated to the employee, the absence screen, the start time and end time will vary. Okay, I'm just showing you an example, how the work schedule will affect this particular absence screen. Okay, I'm entering into the person's management screen actually. Here we have manage absence records. This is just for understanding. I'll tell you all the things in detail once we go and actually do the setup. Okay, if we select the annual leave, since the employee is associated with the time shift, okay, so we can see the start time and end time here. Okay, so and here the time will automatically be populated. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Since the shift is defined as with start time as 8 a.m. and end time as 5 p.m. Okay, so if we have defined the elapsed shift wherein we just define the number of hours, this start time and end time will not come in our absence screen. Only directly the start date and end date will come. Okay, so it depends on the requirement of the user, whether they want to see start time and end time. If they don't want to see start time and end time, the only way we have is to create a elapsed duration shift. Elapsed. Okay, so this is about the work schedules and worker availability. Okay, now let us go and see the definition of the calendar events, and before defining the calendar events, we need to define the geographic tree, which will actually where we'll include. See, actually we can define the geographic tree at the territory level, whether it is at the legislation, like whether it is United Arab Emirates or Kuwait or US, or any other country territory level, or we can define it at the location level. These are the only two options which we have while defining the calendar events. Okay, as of now I'll show you how to create a geographic tree at the calendar event, like at the territory code level, and then how do we include them in our calendar events. Okay, so that those will be excluded from our absences when we actually apply absences of duration of unit of measure with us days. So it will automatically consider the worker availability and calculate the duration accordingly. Here the task is manage geography trees. Okay, so under setup and maintenance, I have searched for manage geographic trees. Geography trees. This is the place where we actually define the geography at the territory level, wherein we can include different countries which we are actually implementing. So if the holidays are defined, the public holidays are defined at the territory level or the country level, then we can make use of it. There are certain clients wherein the holidays will vary according to the location. Like in our case only, the holidays in Chennai are different from holidays in Bangalore and holidays in Hyderabad. Then in that case, we need to define the geography at the location level. And there is furthermore setup which we need to do in the at the location setup as well, that we'll have a look at the later point in time when we go into the more advanced requirements. As of now, I'll show you the geography, creating the geographic tree at territory level. Okay, so there's already a tree. Okay, I'll just try to create another. Okay, you can give any name. Okay, next. Okay, so that's it. Here we'll create, sorry, here we have to submit it. Here only we give the name. After that, what we have to do is we have to highlight that one and say action, create tree version. Okay, let's name anything. Effective standard. Okay, so what we actually do here is here we specify the top node, and then under that we select the territories, like whether it is the countries like United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and all that stuff. Okay, so here, so we need to use this particular geographic tree, when we are actually creating our what to say our calendar event. So based on the node, based on the territory, the country which we actually select or include in the calendar event, those holidays will be applicable for those employees. Okay. See, actually, that is the setup which we have to do. Like when we have to create a name and then create a version for it. So I'm creating a new node. I'm creating a new what to say a new setup. I'm not using the existing one. Okay, I'm creating a new geographic tree. Okay. Oh, sorry, specific value. The top node will be the geographic tree. Okay, this will be the top one. Okay, so under that we need to select the value specific to the. Okay, so under that action, add. Okay, so this will be the top node. Under this we will be selecting the specific countries. Okay, specific value. Here we need to select geography tree territory code data source. Okay, here we will select the different countries. Like here the different countries will come up here and we can select it here. Okay, so like it is AE. Okay, so what is that we are doing here is we are creating this particular setup so that we can reference this particular geography in our calendar events and say that this particular holiday is applicable only to this country. This particular holiday is applicable only to this country, something like that. Okay, so I'm selecting on the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so under this we have United Arab Emirates. Okay, then we just do this and we can select as many countries as we want. Say we are implementing for 5 different countries. Okay, so then we have to select all those and include those countries in our setup so that we can define the holidays very specific to that country. Okay, is it okay till here? Like why we are doing it and what is that we are trying to do here? Okay, so once this is done, the next step is that we have to audit it, like set the status as active. So that means we are making as of now the status is draft. We need to do an online audit in order to make it active so that it will be effective and we can use it for definition of our calendars. And it is very important to remember that whenever we open the geographic tree, the node, it always goes back into draft status. So it is very important that we set it back to active. Unless and until the geographic tree is active, we cannot use it in our calendar events. Okay, so now it is audit is done successfully. That means the status is active. So right, so once this is done, the next step is actually we have to do another thing, which is like flatten, column flattening. I exactly don't know why we do, sorry, it is row flattening or column flattening. Unless and until we do this, we cannot, I mean, this geographic tree will not come into effect when we are defining the calendar events. So it is a mandatory step. And even if, I mean, you can see this geographic tree in your while defining your calendar events, but the system will not consider that this holiday is applicable for this country. So we have to do the row flattening as a mandatory step. Okay, so once this is done, our setup for the geographic tree is done. The next step will be to define a holiday calendar, okay, events, and use this geographic tree to include the holidays very specific to those countries. Okay, so is it clear till here before we go to the calendar events, the geography trees? Okay, I'm proceeding to the creation of the calendar events. Okay. Okay, so next step is the calendar events. Manage calendar. Okay, it is the manage calendar events is the task wherein we define the public holidays which are specific to our country. If you want in tomorrow's session, we can take up the what is the holidays, creating the geographic tree very specific to the location, because that is what is the requirement in most of the clients. Like it's a little additional setup which we have to do if we want to make the holidays very specific to the location. Okay, I'll take that up in tomorrow's class. Okay, so now let's create one public holiday. Okay, let's say it as okay. Actually, all other are I think they are only public holiday is the seeded category which we usually use. All these other are created. I think public holiday is what which will be available. So here we give the start time. If it is spanning between 2 days, also you can give it here. If it is 1 day, then we can give it here. Okay, so I'll give it as 30th June 2016. Okay, 0000. Okay, you have to give one full day. Otherwise, in the calendar, if you see, it'll take only part day, and it will calculate the duration accordingly. Okay, 30th June 2016, 11:59 p.m. Okay. And here you can see geographic. Okay, here we can select the okay. So once we do this, we need to click on that node and say include. That means this public holiday is applicable. What happened? Yeah, is applicable only to UAE. Okay, the employees who are falling under this particular legislation or territory, for them this holiday will be applicable. Alright, so this is the way we have to create a public holiday. Calendar event was created. Okay, so this we have given as an exception when we are defining our work schedule. So I'll just show you the work calendar now, like how it will appear. Schedule. Okay, in here we have view calendar. Okay, here we have view calendar. Here, if you see, like you know, Saturday. Where is the 30th June? Mm. Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. What happened? Where is 30th June? Oh, mhm. It has not taken into effect. Mhm. Actually, I have given the shift as 30th June, but somehow it is, sorry, holiday as 30th June, but it is not taken into effect. One second, let me just check the work schedule, because it will be seen as a public holiday. Um, it will not show the UAE thing there. Okay, here I have given the calendar event category as an exception, but still it is not taking into effect. Ideally, what will happen is in work schedule assignment administration, when we go to view calendar, it will show all the public holidays, all the weekends, everything it will show in the view calendar. Okay, I'll just check it and I'll try to sort it out and I'll show this tomorrow. Yeah, Vasant, I'll log in from employee from tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow when we complete all the setup related to the absences and when we are actually applying the absences, then I'll show you everything in detail, like how the user can view his calendar. There is a what to say screen like worker availability, so there we can go and see everything. Okay, I'll get this thing sorted out tomorrow. I'm not very sure, ideally it should have taken into effect, like it will show it as a public holiday and the public holiday name would have come here. Okay, so not very sure why is it not coming. Normal working hours today, let us go to today. June 30th. It is not coming. Subscribe. Okay. I'll check on this and I'll show it to you tomorrow. Ideally, it should have come here as a public holiday, but then it is not coming. Okay. So I'll definitely show it to you tomorrow for sure. Okay. So this is the setup which we do for worker schedule and calendar event. Is it clear so far? Shall we proceed further? Um, yeah. Okay. So the next thing which we are going to see is like the okay. So once the worker schedule and worker availability is done, the basic thing, the next thing is that we have to do all the setup related to the absences. Okay, so first I'll take you through the navigation. Like there is a separate menu for that, and wherein we have all the tasks there. First we'll go through the navigation, and then I'll take you through each and every setup in detail. Okay, so there is actually there is a lot of setup which is required in order to uh, set up the absence plans, and if we have to integrate those absences to payroll, then it's again a huge setup. Like there are a lot of elements, a lot of formulae, everything to be created. So I'll take you through the detail of each and every task. Okay, first we'll go through the navigation of the absence management, absence administration. There is a separate task called as absence administration, wherein we do all the setup. Okay, so first basic thing which is required, or the sequence in which we do the setup, is like we create the fast formula, eligibility profiles, their rate definitions, okay, and then we go with the absence plans, certifications, reasons, and then the last thing which we do is the absence types. Okay, first we will go through the navigation, okay, even before going into anything, so that I'll show you all the tasks which are available there, and then we'll go in detail. I'll explain you in detail about each and every task. Okay, so from the navigator we navigate to my workforce. Under that we have a separate task called as absence administration. Okay, here on the right hand side when we click, we will see all the tasks, all the functions which are available. We'll be able to see here. Okay, these are all the tasks which are available. And we will go in detail one by one. Okay, so the thing which we have to do initially, and then for us to proceed further with the setting up of absences and all that. Okay, first thing what we'll do is we'll go with the eligibility profiles. Okay, so as you all must be aware, it's a basic simple thing. It is, it's like if you want to restrict the absence types or absence plans to certain criteria, like you want to only certain grade of employees to have a particular absence plan and absence type. It's like you define the eligibility here, who all are eligible for to be enrolled into absence plan, or for the absence type to be available. So this is the first basic thing we define. Okay, so there can be any criteria. There's a lot of criteria. I mean, we can have lot of flexibility in defining our criteria, like only certain grades or certain jobs, or only a male employee is eligible for paternity, female only for maternity. So all those eligibilities we define here in manage eligibility profile. Okay, that is the first step to do. Okay, let us create very simple eligibility profile. Okay, so these eligibility profile we can associate at the absence plan and also at the absence type level. Okay, so it will restrict the employees from getting enrolled unnecessarily. For the employees who are not actually eligible to the uh, absence plan or absence type. Okay, so you need to make it as global. We'll say grade eligibility. Okay, any assignment enterprise. We can select this option. Okay, see, if you can see, there are various options available here, like on personal, employment, okay, derived factors and others. Okay, so here in personal we have like gender, person type. We can have restrictions based on many things, like this person will come, person criteria will come in the person screen of the employee, like gender, person type, whether if the employee is disabled. All these values are captured in the person screen of the employee, so we can restrict the employee based on any of this criteria. And there is, we have employment wherein the grade, job, assignment status, assignment category, job position, payroll, all these will come. Okay, so we have a lot of flexibility in restricting the employees uh, to be able to opt for a particular absence plan or absence type. Okay, so I'm saying grade just for the time being. Okay. If you want to exclude this only this particular grade, then you can check this exclude box, or if you don't check it, that means it is included. Okay, so that is done. And derived factors. Okay, I'll take you through the derived factors as well, which are very important, which are used in accrual bands. Actually, like say if your accrual eligibility is based on length of service. Okay, so that length of service is not directly available. So we have to create a derived factor and use it over in the accrual bands. Okay, so all the, and various derived factors available are like age, if you want to restrict on age, length of service, compensation. There are various factors which are available. Okay, alright. So in others, if none of these are satisfying your criteria, okay, then we can have benefits group, health coverage. All these comes mainly are used when we are having the eligibility profile defined for a benefit plan. Okay, you can even have a fast formula. Okay, eligibility usually, if none of the criteria is satisfying the requirement, then we can even go ahead and write a fast formula and associate it here. Okay, participant eligibility determination formula. Okay, so there are various factors on which we can define our eligibility. So I'm defining a simple grade one. Okay, so is it clear in the eligibility profile? Then we can go to the derived factors. Mainly the major derived factor which is used in accruals is like the length of service, wherein we say so and so length of service is having that much of accrual in entitlement, annual leave entitlement. Okay, so this is all about the eligibility profile. This eligibility profile we associate it to the absence type and also to the absence plan. Okay, then we have what is called as derived factors. Derived factors are like they are derived from certain things. Okay, so I'm showing you only the length of service which is majorly used derived factor across the all the accrual plans, most of the accrual plans. Okay, so here what we do is here we have to select the unit of measure, whether the length of service, whatever it is returning, it is it in days, months. Okay, so years, and this is very important, like as of what date, like which date it should use to determine the length of service. Okay, date of hire, adjusted service date, inherited. Okay, original hire date. So usually if we see in accrual plans, we say like the original seniority date, like the original date of hire. We usually consider that. So that we can select original hire date. Okay, even for like rehire employees or for whom these hire date, there is a certain seniority date given, enterprise hire date is given. Then for them we can use this original date of hire. Okay, so so this will determine this date is used to determine the used to calculate the length of service of an employee. And determination, like as of what day you want to calculate length of service, like at the time of, I mean as of the event date. Okay, that means when this actually the what to say, the event is occurring at the time of absence, or when you are actually running the accruals, that is the date when you want the length of service to be calculated. So these two are very important. Okay, and this is the rounding rule. To what you want to round it, this is very simple. Okay, so this is all about the derived factor. You can explore, like there are various other derived factors like age and service, compensation, hours worked, full time equivalent. Okay, so I'm showing you the only the one which is majorly used across in all the accrual plans in order to arrive or give the eligibility for each and every band. Okay, so these two are the basic prerequisites we create before creating the absence plan. Okay, so is it clear so far? Shall we proceed to the next step? Okay. Actually, the next step will be the rate definitions, but I will come to the rate definitions at a later point in time. Once we actually, finish the setup and move on to our payroll session, because it is very much related to the payroll. The rate definition comes into the picture when we are actually transferring the transferring, or when we are actually integrating the absences to the payroll. So what happened is actually in Fusion, what Oracle has given us is, we can define everything. No problem, Neha. Yeah. Okay. Actually, what Oracle has given to us in Fusion is there are a lot of advanced features, like if we want to do some payments for the absences, then we can define everything in system, and system calculates it automatically. That's what the system has, Oracle has given. Which it has given a lot of advanced features which we usually don't use, which we are not actually using. But thing is, it can be used, effectively in order to do the payments correctly. So I feel that we'll go to the rate definitions at a later point in time. Um Okay, so that we'll get more clarity on actually what we are trying to do and what we are trying to achieve through rate definitions. Okay, is it fine? But it is a mandatory step for us to do if we are integrating absences to payroll. Okay, like it is a mandatory column, you can say, in the absence plan for us to give the rate definitions. And I'll explain you in detail when we go into the payroll and the payments of absences come into the picture. The usefulness of the rate definitions, what actually this rate definition is doing, we can get more understanding and more clarity when we actually move into the payroll session, because it comes into the picture when we are actually doing the payment for absences. Okay, so there can be a case where they want to see the absence. The employee has gone on annual leave. Okay, usually in most of the clients, they don't want to see it separately, like it will be part of our salary. But certain employees, they want to see it separately as a leave salary or annual salary, whatever, vacation salary. So then actually this rate definition will come into picture. Like, it does the calculation automatically and pay it separately. So I feel it is better to go into the rate definition when we actually start the session for payroll. Okay, so the rates actually used when sickness payments, unpaid deductions, sickness deductions, all these come into the picture. Okay, now after that, what we can do is we can go with the task manage absence reasons. Okay, actually for each and every absence type, what we can do is we can associate an absence reason, and based on absence reason we can do certain validations like that. Like if we do have that flexibility, like if condolence leave, if we see, like certain clients, what they do is, if a close relative is like a close relative is dead, they'll give 3 days of condolence leave. If it is a distant relative like uncle, aunt, they'll give 1 day of leave. Based on the reason also, we can do all the validations, like for the absence duration. Okay, so next will be the absence reasons, and then after absence reason we can go to the absence certifications. Like certifications is like, you have for sick leave, if you are going on leave more than 3 days of leave, then you have to submit a doctor certificate, medical certificate. So that is the flexibility which they have given in terms of certifications. Okay, that we can define. And we can say, okay, what if the employee hasn't submitted the certificate? What is that we have to do? Then in that case, we can say, okay, revise the payment, pay only 75%. Okay. Or if he has notified the manager late, what is that we have to do? Pay only 50%. All those criteria we can give in absence certifications. Okay, but the only drawback is we cannot make the certification mandatory. Say after, if the absence duration is more than 3 days, then only make the certification mandatory. It's not possible. We either it is completely mandatory or non-mandatory. That is one drawback, but otherwise, it works perfectly in terms of payment. If they don't submit the certificate, what is that you have to do? If they have passed the due date, what is that you have to do? All those things we can capture in the certifications. Okay, now let's go to the definition of manage absence reasons. Okay, it is very simple. Just you give a reason, name. Okay, let us create yeah, the effective date is like, it is very important, as you all know. Okay, I'll make it as illness. Okay, we need to select the country. Okay, that's it. That is what is we give here. Okay, if we want any other additional information to be captured, we can create the descriptive flex fields here. But actually, we never explored this one. So we can explore it at a later point in time. Okay, so this is the basic screen where we just give the name of the reason and select our legislation, and we associate this absence reason to absence type. It is already there. Okay, so this is about the absence reason. Okay, next step will be creating the absence certification. Okay, as I told you before, absence certification is like doctor certificate. Whenever on certain conditions you want to submit, uh, employee to submit the medical certificate. Okay, and then revise the payments. In that case, we'll do it. Okay. Okay, this is the basic screen. All right. Okay. Let me create new one so that I can explain you each and everything in detail. Actually, many users have had the requirement like to make the certification mandatory only after, if the duration is exceeding certain days. But that cannot be achieved. We couldn't achieve it so far. like if the sickness duration is more than 3 days, the certification should be made mandatory. But that is not the option which which Oracle has given. It can be either made mandatory or completely non-mandatory. So what we usually do is we give a warning. Please submit the medical certificate. There is an option to give warning. So we usually do that. That's the only thing which we could do so far. Yeah. Okay, let's make it as medical certificate. Okay, here we have different options, three options here. Authorization, okay, and timeliness. Like authorization is like it is a mandatory thing. Like they definitely have to submit the medical certificate. Like they need to be authorized to submit the to apply for a sick leave. Okay, if it is like timeliness, okay, then like it will check, okay, say the employee has notified the manager at a later point in time that he has gone on sick leave, so the system internally will check for that. Okay, so he has already gone on sick leave and at a later point in time he has intimated the manager about the sick leave. Okay, so then based on that, what we can do is we can revise the payments. Okay. Okay, trigger when this particular certification needs to be triggered on the initial absence entry. Okay, so when the employee or the manager applies for leave, this particular certificate, I mean submission of the certificate needs to be triggered. Okay, due date rule. Like you want to give certain time for the employee to submit the certificate. Okay, so let's give as waiting period. Okay, so from absence start date, you give say 5 days. Within 5 days, the employee has to submit the certificate. Okay, that's what this is mean. If if you say trigger date, that is when the employee has applied for leave, then only he has to submit. Okay, or I mean trigger date in the sense even for the backdated absences, like when the absence is actually applied. Okay, no due date means when the employee is going on leave itself, he has to submit the certificate. So we usually select waiting period so that the employee will have certain time, okay, to submit the certificate. Okay. So actions. What here? This is the trigger which we have set. What is the corresponding action which should happen based on this trigger? Okay, on creation, what is that it has to do? Target field, it has to set it to true. Okay, and entitlement on creation, there is nothing because we have given due date here. On passage of due date, what is that he has to set? I mean, we have to set it to false. Okay, and entitlement as of action start date and entitlement update, we need to recalculate. Sorry, override. Okay, override, and we can say employee is having 100% of payment now. Okay, even though he is on sick leave, so we'll maybe because he didn't submit the medical certificate. Okay, he has passed the due date, we want to revise the payments. Okay, so what will be the payment percent? It will be the 75%. Okay, so target field update, set it as true. On completion, just set it as true. Okay, there's no action. Okay, so are you getting it? Like what is that we are trying to achieve through certifications? Like making the certification mandatory. Okay, and what is that the system has to do when the employee has not submitted the certification? Okay, so this information will be when the employee applies a leave, this information will be passed on to the payroll. Okay, and a trigger will be set. Like if the employee has not submitted the certification yet, a trigger will be set and this information will be passed on to the payroll and recalculation will happen. Okay, it will set particular element entry and it will return the payment percentage as 75 instead of 100. Okay, got it? Is it clear so far on the absence certifications? Like what is that we can do through a certification? And I'll show you where do we go and associate a certificate. Okay, is it clear so far? Like absence certification. Okay. So, what all we have gone through is like the eligibility profiles, derived factors, absence certification, absence reasons. Okay. Next will be the absence plans. Okay. Even before we proceed to the absence plan, do you have any doubts or anything, before we proceed further? Okay, so now our next step will be the absence plans. Okay, if we compare it with the EBIS, in EBIS we had only the accrual plans. Okay, now and we had something like statutory sick pay, statutory maternity pay, SMP and SSP, all that which were like very specific to the legislation. So now what Oracle has done is it has made it global and combined everything into an absence plan. Okay, in absence plan we have various types, like three different types of absence plan, which will be the accruals and qualifications and entitlements. I'll tell you where to use what, when we use which type of absence plans. Like the accrual, as the name itself says, when we are accruing the absences, like annual leave or privilege leave, okay, all that. In such cases, we use accrual plans. The qualification plans come into the picture when you are actually going for sick leave or maternity leave. Okay, like in qualification what we usually do is like if we take sick leave, let's say for first 15 days, when the employee is on leave for first 15 days in an year, the payment will be, he'll get full payment, and for next 30 days he'll get half payment, and after that there will be no payment for the employees. Okay, these are all the rules, like he is qualified for certain days. So in such cases, in such type of requirements, we usually go for qualification plans. Okay, so and for no entitlement, as the name itself says, the employee is not eligible for payment, which is unpaid leave. Okay, in that case, we define no entitlement plans. Okay, so these are three different types of absence plans which are available, and there's lot which we can do using the absence plan screen. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of calculation of the accrual, proration, carryover, all that. We have a lot of flexibility, and in qualification also, system does everything. System calculates the payment percentage automatically. It shows how much he is into which band, like whether he is in full pay, half pay, or no pay, depending upon the bands which we define in our qualification plan. So, it is easy for us to get the data and do the payment accordingly. There is no need for us to decide, check, okay, employee has taken so many days leave in this period, and we have, okay, now he is falling into this no pay or full pay, whatever bands. Okay, system does everything for us. We just have to define a rate and do the calculation and do the payment. Okay, most of the things are done by the system on the way we set up on the way we do the setup of the absence plans. Okay, for today we'll start with the accrual plans. Okay, okay. Before actually we go into the accrual plans, there are certain formulae which we, okay, I'll tell you while we are defining the accrual plan only, and we'll go into the detail of the formulae when we are actually having the payroll session. We'll have one separate session for formula because Fusion formula have changed a lot. Okay, so I'll tell you what a formula are used, what is the flexibility, and then we can go in detail in the payroll session. Okay, so now let's um, go into in the same absence administration we have absence, manage absence plans. Okay, so I have already created one. I'll show you that, and we'll go through the detail of each and every screen. Okay. Or else I'll create one so that it will be easy to explain. Okay, we'll select the effective date and the country. Okay, here as I said, plan type, we have three options: accrual, qualification, and no entitlement. Accrual is when we are actually accruing the entitlement and it gets carried on over to next year. Okay, so for such annual leave, privilege leave, all that, we use the accrual type of the absence plan. Okay, so once we select this, there are four tabs here actually. So I'll tell you in each and every screen, what is the importance of each and every field so that it will be very clear. Okay, you can give any name to the plan. Here, plan unit of measure, like what is the unit of measure. Here we have different calendar days, hours, months, weeks and years. Okay, this has to be in sync with the duration or the unit of measure of the absence type. Okay, so I'm selecting it as days. Okay, actually, I'll see we have defined work schedule and exceptions or like calendar event exceptions and all that, right? So when you select the plan or the absence type duration as days, the system will automatically look for the worker availability. Like it will check into the work schedules of the employee, okay, and it will look if there is any exception. It does the calculation automatically. Okay, only when we select the duration as days, yeah, plan as days. For calendar days, as the name says, it will consider calendar days. It will not exclude weekends, it will not exclude public holidays. Okay, is it clear? And other than that, we can select hours, months, weeks and years, which we usually don't use. Okay, we select days here. Okay, and legislative data group will come automatically. Status will be active. Okay, here we have another checkbox which is enable concurrent entitlement. What does this mean? Like, if you want the employee to receive payments from both the plans at the same time, this we don't use for accrual, this we usually use for maternity, which are sick, which are statutory. Okay, so there'll be like the employee will receive payments from both organization and also from the government. In such cases, what we have to do is enable concurrent entitlement, like he will be entitled to receive the pay from both the plans. Okay, so we can associate those two plans to the absence type, and whenever the employee goes on leave, system will check for both the plans entitlement and it will pay the employee. Okay, so usually we have statutory sick pay, statutory maternity pay in UAE, wherein the company sick pay will be there and also the statutory sick pay. So the employee will receive payment from both the sources. In such cases, we need to select this as enable concurrent entitlement. Okay, so then only the when we uh, check this checkbox, system will allow the employee to receive the payments from both the plans. Otherwise, what will happen is, even though we associate two plans to absence type, depending on the priority, only when the first plan is exhausted, then it will go to the second plan. It will be like that. Okay, so this enable concurrent entitlement we usually come into picture when the client is using both the company sick pay and also the statutory thing. So it will come in sick pay and maternity pay. Okay, so and in plan term we have only two options, which is the calendar year and anniversary year. Like when is the uh, entitlement has to reset. Either it can be calendar year or anniversary year, hire date anniversary. Okay, so I'm selecting calendar year, and here we specify the day when the it will take the start day and start month. The day when the balance has to reset, the entitlements has to reset. Okay, so this is very similar to EBIS. So we have the plan term. Okay, only two options. There's not much of flexibility here, and we cannot even have a formula. So in EBIS, I think we can have our own logic in order to reset the plan term. But here we have only two options: calendar year and anniversary year. Okay. So this is all about the screen. Then comes to the participation. Is it clear so far? Okay. Are you able to hear me now? Oh, so this enrollment rule concept you couldn't hear? Okay. Let me explain you again on the enrollment rules. If you can see, the name itself says the enrollment start rule. Like when the employee has to be enrolled into the plan. Okay, we have two options here: as of event, formula. As of event means like whenever the employee is hired, the enrollment will happen. Okay, if that is not the case, if the employee should be enrolled into a form and enrolled into the accrual plan only after, say, he has completed probation period, or only after 6 months. Okay, if there is any certain criteria like that, we can have our own formula. Okay, and associate it here in the here. Okay, the type will be the global accrual plan eligibility. Okay, plan enrollment formula. Okay, so usually we select as of event, like whenever the employee is hired, then the enrollment will automatically happen. Okay, so the thing is, the employees who are already there in the system before we have created the accrual plan, for them we have to go and manually enroll the employees. Okay, but employees are created after creating the absence plan, they will get enrolled automatically. Okay, because it will look for the trigger new hire. I mean, it will look for the higher trigger. So unless and until that happens, the enrollment will not happen. Okay, so usually we need to create the accrual plan first before creating the employees in a new implementation, so that the employees will automatically be enrolled. Okay, we do have a process to perform the enrollments. Okay, so that will come into a later, we'll look into at a later point in time, once we do all the setup. Okay, so this is about enrollment start rule. Okay, waiting period. If you want the employees, not, yeah, actually this is similar to what I was telling, like if there is any specific waiting period after hire date, it will look, say calendar days, you want to, or months. Okay, if you want the employee to be enrolled after certain, say 1 month or 2 months, if it is a static duration after which the employee has to be enrolled, then you can select this. Okay, if say after a month, only after a month employee is eligible to be enrolled into the annual plan, then you need to select this waiting period UM. Otherwise it will be as of event. If there is any other criteria for enrollment, then you have lot of flexibility in writing your own fast formula. Okay, there was a requirement in one of our clients that the employee needs to be enrolled into the actual plan only after he completed the probation period. Okay, so yeah, that was done through a fast formula. uh, and 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 the thing is, it doesn't happen automatically. Enrollment doesn't happen automatically. We always have to run a process, concurrent process. Okay, there's a process for that. Okay, so we need to run that. So on a daily basis, they have to run that process, because it doesn't set any trigger. So the formula just checks it, but we have to run the process in order for the enrollment to happen. Okay, so this is about the enrollment rules. And on the termination rules, like what should happen when the termination, when the termination of the entitlement should happen, and what should happen after employment termination. Enrollment end rule, again it is as of event. So whenever the employee is terminated, the enrollment will end. Okay, and this option is important. Okay, on employment termination, whether you want to do the final settlement to the employee. Okay, so disburse positive balance, or if you want to recover the, if he has taken excess of leave, he has crossed the limit, then if you want to recover the negative balance, then you can tick. Okay, on loss of plan eligibility, like if for any reason we have the eligibility, see here we associate the eligibility profile, the one which we have defined before. So for any case, like the employee, like now we have defined grade eligibility, only G1 grade is eligible. Okay, so if the employee is demoted for some reason, he has moved into a lower grade, then he has he is no more eligible for the plan, right? So what do you want to do when he has lost the eligibility of the plan? Do you want to disburse the positive balance, and do you want to recover the negative balance? If yes, then select both. So it works accordingly. It checks and it automatically creates the element entries. Okay, so there is something, a concept called as calculation cards, which get created whenever you schedule absences. Okay, so when we are integrating absences to payroll. Okay, so depending on whatever transaction we do, whatever happens, it automatically, okay, the entire enrollment rules and termination rules, Hassan.
Yes, Ushan.
Okay, okay, so let's look into the enrollment.
Sorry, not
Huh.
the one. From
Okay,
here on, employment termination.
termination. Okay, these four check boxes you meant to say.
Yeah.
Okay, see when the employee is terminated, okay, when is, what should happen, like when the enrollment should be ended, like when the employee is terminated. As of event means it will look for a termination. Okay, so here also we have a formula, okay, for the flexibility. Okay, so whenever the employee is terminated, so the enrollment will be end dated. So automatically the balance will be calculated for those many days. Okay. So what should happen? on employment termination, what should happen to the balance? Say employee hasn't used all his entitlement. Say he is still having 5 days of leave balance. Whether you want to pay that leave balance to the employee. If yes, check this uh, check box, and there is a corresponding setup for that. Okay, there is the final disbursement element which we do, okay, while creating the absence elements. Okay, so system will automatically create that element entry to the calculation card. Okay, that will we'll come into that concept at a later point in time, but just for the clarity,
That comes under payroll, right?
yes, correct, that comes
Okay.
under payroll. Yeah. Okay, what system does is, there's a concept called as calculation cards here in Fusion. Okay, for everything there's a like for absences, for end of service, everything there's a calculation. A calculation card gets created automatically with element entries. Okay, depending upon the setup we do, what system does is, okay, the employee is having 5 days leave balance. Okay, positive balance. System will create an element entry, okay, with these 5 days as balance only if we check this checkbox, disperse positive balance. If we don't check it, nothing will happen. Those 5 days will go. The employee will not receive any payment for those 5 days for which he was actually eligible to be paid. Okay, so if he has used his balance excessively, like his balance is in negative, okay, then recover negative balance. If we check this checkbox, what system does? The system again creates element entry in payroll with -5. Okay, whatever is the balance with negative balance. And when we run the payroll, system recovers the,
Once,
yeah,
1 minute, Prashant.
yeah,
Here, if an employee is having a negative balance,
huh,
okay.
okay.
So, as per the leave concept, he'll be under this LOP, loss of pay,
No, no,
or you
see,
may,
no,
or
actually,
he didn't serve the
yeah.
uh, notice period or something like that.
Yeah, see, actually, if we take a case of front loader, like at once the employee will get, at the beginning of the year only, employee get all the leave. Say 22 days of leave he has got.
Correct.
When he has applied 22 days of leave in January only. Okay,
Hmm.
but he got terminated in March.
Okay.
Okay, but if you see, he's not actually eligible for 22 days. He'll be eligible for 22 divided by, say, roughly 6 days, because he has served
Okay.
only from January to March. Got it?
Okay. No.
Okay.
Sorry.
See, okay. See, employee has got all the entire annual leave entitlement in January. Okay. Let us take a
Hmm.
front loader. Like he has got all the balance,
Okay.
all the actual leaves in January, and he has applied for annual leave in January. 22 days he has
Hmm.
applied, or 10
Used.
days.
Okay.
Okay, he has applied. System allows him to apply because he is having 22 days balance.
Yeah.
Okay, but what happened, due to some reason he got terminated in March. Okay, so he
Okay.
served January, February and March. Okay,
Okay.
so ideally speaking, he is not eligible for 22 days for 3 months, right? 22 days is
Yeah.
eligible for the entire year,
Entire year. Okay.
right? So the accrual will
Yeah.
get prorated. Roughly it will come down to 6.
Okay.
Okay, because for January, February and March he is only eligible for 6 days, ideally speaking. But he has applied for 22 days of leave. That means his balance is in
Hmm.
negative now, right?
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Got it? Yeah, got
Yeah.
the scenario? Yeah. So what we should do in
Yeah.
such case? Because of,
Hmm.
it's not resignation, he got terminated, like, for some reason the management
Yeah.
terminated him. Then what should be done in that case? We should recover the negative balance because he is ideally not eligible. It all depends on what the client says, whether he wants to recover or he
Client.
doesn't
Correct.
want to recover, right? Okay, if he wants
Yeah.
to recover, we check this checkbox. What system does is, depending on our setup, it will create one disbursement element entry. Okay, I'll show you those element entries also in detail with whatever balance, negative balance is there, that it will create. Okay, okay, got it. So this is what is the importance of this. It is very important to that we have all these things clarified from the client and do our setup. What should happen on employment termination? Okay, and this section on loss of plan eligibility only. Like now we have, I was explaining you a scenario where an employee has lost the eligibility of the plan. Say this particular plan is eligible only for management employees, okay, or executives, and by some reason the employee got demoted. Okay, so and now he is not eligible for this actual plan at all. Then what should happen to the positive balance and what should happen to the negative balance? Okay, in such scenarios. Okay, so for that, if you want to disburse positive balance and recover negative, usually what happens is on loss of plan eligibility, we don't disburse positive balance. We don't check these check boxes because if he is not eligible for this plan, he will be eligible for some other plan. So we'll do the adjustments. Okay. So that is what is this section on employment termination on loss of plan eligibility. And this is where is the place where we associate the eligibility profiles which we have created in the earlier step. Okay. Okay. Fine. So this is all about this screen. Now comes to this screen. This is very there are a lot of things in this screen actually. Shall we continue it for tomorrow? It's already 12:20 because this screen itself will take more than half an hour. There are a lot of formulae, like there are a lot of concepts here. Okay. Okay, fine, fine. So, okay, we'll continue this particular section from tomorrow. We'll have a recap on these two screens also tomorrow. And the thing which is pending from me to show you is on the work schedule. I'll show that up tomorrow. And we'll have a question session before we start tomorrow so that you can ask me any questions, and also at the end of the session tomorrow. Okay, I hope today's session was fine, and you got some concepts regarding the absences setup. Okay, yeah. So let's start. Let's call it for the day, and we'll start a session tomorrow by 10:30 again, same timing. Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Let's start tomorrow at 10:30. Yeah, thank you.